The facility door groaned as it opened into darkness. Elena's boots echoed as she stepped into the decommissioned Cold War-era government archive. She had been sent to catalog what remained of Project Echo, buried beneath concrete and silence. Her flashlight revealed peeling paint, rusted equipment, and shelves of dusty tapes. There was no electricity, only her battery lamp and the shadows. Elena wiped off the dust and inserted the first reel-to-reel tape into the player. A man's voice stammered through static. Test subject number 4. Hearing interference. Impossible to isolate voices. There was a deep hum under his words. Something not right. Elena noted the time code, but didn't stop the tape. The voice continued, growing agitated. They're not recordings. They're answers. The room's atmosphere seemed to thicken. Elena glanced around. The voice on the tape now whispered her name. She hadn't given it. The lights flickered to life on their own. Elena hadn't touched the power grid. The computer systems, rusted and ancient, booted up with a whine. Monitors displayed, waveforms moving before she played anything. The machines were reacting to something not yet heard. She found a metal drawer labeled Audio, Subject Logs. Each tape was labeled only with numbers. No names. She played one. A girl sobbed, then stopped abruptly. A man's voice asked her questions, but she wasn't responding, just breathing. But the sound didn't stop when Elena paused the tape. Deep in the hallway, one door was welded shut from the outside. Scratches lined the metal. On the wall beside it, a chart titled Auditory Containment Chamber B. Someone had tried to trap sound inside. Elena leaned close. Something tapped from the other side. Every time Elena played a new tape, something changed in the room. A chair moved. A shelf tilted. She marked it off as paranoia, until the waveform printer typed her name in dot matrix letters. The tape wasn't recording her. It was answering. She discovered a memo. Do not isolate the subject's voice. Layering prevents cognitive breach. But she had already cleaned the audio. Enhanced the whisper. Now, the whisper was outside the speaker, repeating the last phrase in sync with her breath. She left for 5 minutes. When she returned, the tapes were reordered. They formed a spiral on the floor, all labels facing inward. At the center, a tape labeled 00. It hadn't been there before. She reached down, and the lights cut out. The lights returned, but colder. Elena sat in what looked like a listening booth. Only, she hadn't moved. Her watch was ahead by 6 hours. The recorder played by itself. Voices overlapped. Screams, prayers, laughter, then silence. On a monitor, her own voice print appeared, but she hadn't spoken. The waveform was labeled Elena, response. She played it. The voice wasn't hers, but it knew everything about her. It told her a secret she'd never spoken aloud. She found another hallway, one not on the blueprints. It ended at a vault marked Archive B, Human Echo Studies. Inside were chairs, microphones, and walls covered with acoustic foam. Each chair faced a blank screen, but the screens began to glow. She played tape 00. It was the same moment on loop, a man saying, "Can you hear me?" over and over. But after the 10th repeat, a woman's voice answered, "Yes." Still, Elena realized the reply wasn't on the tape. It was in the room. The distortion was no longer limited to the tapes. Her own reflection began to lag behind her movements. Voices whispered from unplugged speakers. Elena locked the listening booth, but the door creaked open on its own. Old files detailed a failed extraction. Subject retained partial voice after removal. Contagion persists in cognitive audio space. Elena realized. Voices infected listeners. Every tape played was an invitation. Desperate, she tried reversing the tapes. When played backward, the voices screamed, but stopped mid-sentence when she entered the booth. One voice whispered, "You made this real." Only one tape left, unlabeled. When she played it, the room locked. No doors, no power, only the sound of her own breath recorded live and echoed back. Then a second breath, not hers. The breath stopped. All machines halted. No power. But her voice continued, not from her mouth, from the speakers. Elena backed away. Her own voice asked, "Do you want to stay here with me?" When the team returned for her, days later, they found no body. Only a tape labeled Elena, Echo. When played, it began, "Can you hear me?" Her voice. Then a pause. Then laughter. Then silence. The final shot. The viewer sees the tape being played again, this time by a new person. Maybe you. The screen glitches. The waveform forms a name. Yours.